In-depth journalism in the Memphis community, the Daily Memphian is of Memphis, not just in Memphis, and seeks to tell the stories of this city. TheDailyMemphian.com. Truth in place.
Hey y'all, welcome to the Daily Memphian's Tigers podcast. I'm Parth, Upadhyaya, the Tigers basketball beat writer here, and I'm joined by John Martin, the Daily Memphian's Tigers college sports columnist. John, how's it going?
It's going great, man. It's good to be here today. And I'm really mostly excited about the fact that we're halfway through what I call the American Athletic Chernobyl, which obviously, if you're familiar with the Chernobyl disaster, it was a lot of devastation and radiation, and that's just kind of how I feel every time Memphis plays a game in this wretched league. So I'm very excited that we're halfway through this thing and we're one day closer to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, anybody who read your column on Sunday after the Rice game knows how you feel about this league and this schedule and these slate of games. And it's not very positively that you feel.
Well, why would I? I mean, it's behind Conference USA. I even had a conversation with the athletic director, Ed Scott, on my radio show, and I think, and again, I appreciate him coming on and I appreciate him being as transparent as he was. I think he felt a little attacked, by me, and he was probably correct to feel that way because I have been attacking Memphis for their decision to stay in this league. I think it's the wrong decision. I think it's a short-sighted decision. I understand that, there are costs that come with going to a Pac-12, like travel, and I get all that. I do. And I know that you're not just running an athletic department for basketball and football. I get it. You have to deal with soccer and tennis and baseball, and I understand all that. But what's the goal here, right? What's the ambition for the University of Memphis? Is it to be great at the stuff that we're great at, or is it to just take the mediocrity, accept the mediocrity, and hope that somehow, some way, the team can manage to overcome it in their non-conference? I just think it's a hell of a way to live. I don't think it's a sustainable way to live. And every opportunity I get to kind of get that off my chest, I'm obviously going to take it.
Fair enough, man. Vent. Let it all out. But you know who's not mediocre? These Memphis Tigers. The Tigers are roaring, having won 5 straight games now in league play since losing at Temple last month. We've got a lot to get to. But first, don't forget to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else you get your podcasts. You can also listen to these episodes and read all of our Tiger sports coverage right here at dailymemphian.com. John, now let's jump right in. Man, maybe I'm wrong for thinking about it this way. Maybe I'm looking at it as a pessimist or a glass half full type of guy, a hater, as I've been called by some.
Well, it'd be empty. It'd be glass half empty.
Glass half empty. I'm sorry. I butchered that.
It's fine. It's just empty.
It's empty. Yeah. It's empty. But what I'm trying to get to is it looked like Memphis had turned a corner, right? They beat UAB, beat the brakes off UAB by 23. UAB's the second or third best team in this conference.
Yeah.
Maybe
you'd say second for now.
Second, right, for now, because they beat North Texas last night. Yeah. So the second best team in this league, you run them out of your gym at FedEx Forum in late January. And then you go to New Orleans, and it doesn't look great at first.
Yep.
But with your 2 best players, your All-American candidate scoring in single digits for only the 3rd time this season.
Yeah.
And your star point guard Tyrese Hunter also struggling.
Yep.
Right. You pull out a double-digit win with your 2 best players, really underproducing.
Technically, metrically, and overperform.
Exactly.
I think they were favored. They were.
I think it was 11.5.
It was 8. No, they were the spread was 6. The metrics I think were 8.
Was it 8? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was 78-70 at KenPom, and so you won by what? 11, 12?
You won by 12.
Yeah. So overperformed. Yeah.
So you pull those 2 performances off, and then you go to Houston, right? On a sleepy Sunday, you go to Rice. Yep. And you struggle, and you barely beat a bad Rice team. You beat that team by the skin of your teeth, and really need PJ Carter, who has been a role player for much of this year, to step up and play hero. Obviously, a win is a win, and that's 5 straight, and they're rocking and rolling and kind of gearing up for the back half of this conference slate. But I think there's 2 ways to look at it, right? One is that's just the nature of this league, right? You're going to not be able to get up emotionally, spiritually, mentally, whatever you want to call it, for each and every game. And that's what we're seeing, right? We saw UAB, they invest a lot into. Tulane, you invest a lot into, because those teams have narrative surrounding them. UAB is your conference rival. They were picked to finish first in the league. Tulane in New Orleans is a place you've struggled at historically. If you're Penny Hardaway, you can sell the guys on that.
Yep.
You're going to Rice, we all know Rice isn't that good.
Right.
Players know Rice isn't that good.
Yeah.
And I think when they know these teams aren't that good, they play like it. Should that be overlooked? Because it does seem like the bracketologists, and we'll get to that in a second, are certainly overlooking that by putting the Tigers on the 4 seed line across the board.
I think there is starting to kind of become this deviation that I don't know what the precedent necessarily is for, but there is starting to become this deviation in that and we still have 9 games left in this season. So, let's see how it all plays out. But, if there is a world where Memphis kind of just does what they've done, in the next 9, which is not necessarily look overwhelming, not necessarily run up the score here.
Some nights run up the score and some nights not, right?
Yeah, I mean, more so not than actually doing.
Sure.
You can't really ding them if they go 8-1 in their next 9. Maybe that one loss is at UAB, right?
It'll be a quad 2 loss. Yeah, so it doesn't kill you.
No, I mean, I don't even think you drop a seed line for a quad 2 loss on the road,
so.
Right? So it'll be interesting because KenPom will obviously, you will not. There's not much room for them. It feels like if they stay on this trend, there's not going to be a lot of room for them to move up. But the seed will kind of fly in the face of the because they'll be 40th at KenPom, but a top 16 team on the seed line, right? Or a top 20 team on the seed line. So there will be a big, but this is what we know about Memphis, and I think this is true. They play well when they play opponents that matter, and they're going to drag their butts when they don't. And again, the good news is for Memphis, bad teams don't make the tournament.
Yeah.
All those games matter. All those games are going to be high intensity, high leverage.
You might get a first round game against a 13 seed
but even
that's not supposed to be
Canyon
there.
Or a McNeese State, obviously that's super.
They've heard of those schools, right? They've heard of Will Wade.
If you can't get up for an NCAA tournament game, man, you don't deserve to win.
Fair.
All right. So I'm not really worried about it. It's just a matter of, I kind of compared it to when you go on vacation. And you're driving.
Right.
It wouldn't be you. You would never drive on vacation. You would only fly. But if you were driving on vacation and you're driving overnight, say it's a longer trip, right? You have one job.
Where are we headed?
Let's just say we're going to Disney World.
Okay.
We're going to Disney World, and you have one job. You got to get an early start. Your one job is to not fall asleep behind the wheel. You're driving to that destination. And we're excited about it, which is the NCAA Tournament, Disney World.
Okay.
Right? Imagine you going to get on the teacups.
I've been on the teacups.
You want to do it again?
Yeah, sure.
You just got to stay awake. You just got to stay awake behind the wheel. And I think that's just the challenge for Memphis, man. Just make sure you don't fall asleep. One of those little things on the road, I don't know what they're called, on the medians there.
The barrier that separates the...
No, it's like when you veer over and they make big noises, what I'm talking about? Yes. I don't know what they're called.
Separates the lanes, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but... those are the close wins, right? That you hope wake Memphis up a little bit. But as long as you stay away, I've taken this analogy extremely too far. But that's kind of what it is for Memphis, is just making sure that you don't do that.
And I guess my question to you would be, how much does Memphis get dinged for the bad driving when there's, 20, 25, maybe 30 other teams that are driving to Florida, to Disney World,
right,
without hitting a squirrel or without running over the thing that you're talking about or whatever,
Listen, let's talk about that. Oregon is in free fall right now. Oregon was the team that was on the 4 line with you, about a week ago, and they just lost to Nebraska at home. They lost to Nebraska at home.
Yes.
Now, again, it's the Big Ten, and so there's a little bit more credibility assigned to it, but you're winning these games. Let's not lose sight of that fact. You are winning.
Oregon's lost 3 in a row: Minnesota, UCLA, and then Nebraska.
You're winning games. Other teams are losing games, right? You look around, man. Ole Miss losing games. Mississippi State losing games. I know that it's a tougher league.
Those two teams.
I get that, but
it's apples, oranges.
No,
those two teams are losing to the likes of Tennessee and Alabama,
and that's why when they lose, they're not going to,
Right, exactly.
But the point is that I would rather win a close one than lose. Period.
Any day.
But that's why
all day, every day.
But that's why, and I wrote this. That's why I hate this godforsaken league, because if Memphis wins by 3,
there's no reward.
There's the only chance you have of being happy after a win is if you win by 30. That's it.
By 20 to 30
Otherwise,
points, yes.
You're going to be tweeting about how disgusted you are by the performance. They only won by 8. You know, you're going to be talking about the turnover.
And somebody be on my ass in my mentions.
Yeah. And
God,
I just think that's a really unfortunate place to be for you. It makes, as a fan, it makes the experience much less enjoyable. You know, I want to just enjoy the wins. I don't want to have to be faced with, oh man, my team underperformed. They were projected to win by 8. They only won by 4. Therefore, I feel disappointed because KenPom dropped me a spot. You know, I mean, I just think that's a horrible existence. And, you know, it's obviously not going to change unless the American changes, unless they fix their situation. But at least you have the Sunday afternoon window reserved on ESPN2.
Yes, sir. ESPN2. Gotta love it.
That's our best thing. That's what you got going for us, man.
And I think the question is, and it looks like we know the answer based on the 9-game sample size we have through this conference slate so far, but with what the Tigers have done against Florida Atlantic, beating that team by 28 in Boca, right? Mm-hmm. You beat North Texas by 4, which is a good North Texas team. We know that now.
But people were not happy with that win, though.
Not then, but now we know more about that team, right? And we can say, okay.
I still don't think it's held in high regard, though.
No, it's not. But I'm just gathering positive performances.
Sure.
So Florida Atlantic, North Texas,
that's UAB.
You blast UAB, and then you beat Tulane. So those are 4, wins that people largely, I don't know, felt better about than the rest, right? Mm-hmm. Is it possible to replicate that same effort across the board? And if it's not, is it the human nature element? What is it about the Tigers that, you know, they walk into Rice or they walk into Charlotte or, you know, at home against Wichita State and look like a completely different team than the ones we see when they're blasting UAB?
Of course it's human nature. I mean, that's all college basketball is, bro, for the most part. It's psychology. I mean, you know, talent matters, of course, but so much of it is psychological. And, you know, you're not going to be able to do that, bro. You're not going to be able to replicate your effort against the team that was picked in the preseason to win against Rice. You're not going to do that. I mean, if Rice comes out and they just have a terrible day shooting, you know, you'll win by 20.
That was the PJ Carter revenge game. You know, he committed to Rice this summer.
Oh, that's right.
Before
I did not know that. And it was also
Slick Rick.
That's right. It was also PJ Haggerty coming back home in a way, right?
It was. He had a bunch of people there.
Tyrese Hunter kind of coming back home in a way because he was at Texas, right?
That's a stretch, but sure.
But, you know, it's the state, right? Everything's bigger in Texas. And it still wasn't enough motivation. It still wasn't enough to close that deal. But they were up 11 with 3 left. It ain't like we were sitting there sweating that result. So, you know.
I'm sorry. We were not at that point. But when it got down to the wire, and you see Nicholas Jourdain miss the front end of a 1-and-1. Sure. You see PJ Haggerty, your All-American candidate guard, miss the front end of a 1-and-1. And Rice comes down and nails another 3, the 10th 3 of the game for them.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're like, hey, could this go really bad?
You know? I mean, of course. But, you know, that's just Memphis getting bored. That's Memphis getting bored.
I think you're right.
They feel like they've put the game on ice, up 11 with 3 left, and they just kind of they don't close the deal.
Take their foot right off the gas.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, I mean, you had the Haggerty turnover, the 2 missed front ends of the 1-and-1, and then Rice just went absolutely nuclear. So, again, survive and advance. That's not something that just applies to the NCAA tournament for Memphis. It's the AAC. That's your AAC season. And until the league gets better, until Memphis gets out of this thing, that's the way it's going to be. As you can tell, I'm exasperated by it all. I'm exhausted because it just feels like it's been so long since Memphis has played a good team. You know, it was like a year ago, basically. Because UAB ain't that. North Texas ain't that.
UAB's a decent basketball team.
They're 100th at KenPom. I mean,
that's the best we've got, man.
But that's my point.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we've got to look. Those are the marquee matchups.
That's terrible.
When Memphis goes to Birmingham on March 2nd, I'll wear my best outfit. That's the marquee matchup, right? That's the Carolina Duke of this conference slate.
Yeah, but that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. That there's not at least FAU last year had the Final Four they were coming off of. They brought
Dusty
everybody back. Yeah, that was fun. This is not fun to me. This is just like. This is like 2 teams that are in different weight classes as far as I'm concerned, Memphis and UAB.
No, and it's tough. It's tough. And I think obviously something positive that does come out of these games, or that has already come out of these games is, you know, people talk about maybe Penny playing with the rotations too much, too early. Mm-hmm. And he has done that. They did it against Rice a little bit. But it's allowed guys like PJ Carter, right? Like to all of a sudden emerge. You don't get a PJ Carter emergence in the Big 12, in the SEC.
Right.
Because that guy is going to get some minutes, but he's not going to get a sizable role to see what he's capable of. You're not going to get to test the waters there.
Yeah,
right?
no, I think PJ Carter has been I don't even want to say it's not sneaky anymore.
It's not sneaky anymore. No,
it's
no, sir.
It's a real thing. I think he's a guy that could unlock maybe a win for you in the tournament or something like that. Like you could see him coming off the bench and
nailing like 5-6 threes. Yeah,
yeah. He got a little out of character. Like he made one drive in that Rice game. He ended up turning it over. But like when he does what he's supposed to do, which is stand there, be ready for the catch, and shoot the ball. I mean, he's elite at that job. He really is.
He does more than that, though. You know what I'm saying? He can play defense. He can hit free throws. I mean, he's 19 for 19 at the free throw line.
Yes, no, he's a guy that I would definitely want to have on the court at the end of a game that's close, right? Because I know he sealed it against Rice.
In Maui. Remember he sealed it against
UConn.
Was it UConn or Michigan State?
I think it was
UConn. It might have been UConn.
He made 4 straight.
Yeah.
He made 4 straight free throws that were huge. So, yeah, I mean, I think, Penny's done a great job kind of tweaking and finding, and I'm a little curious why he wasn't in the rotation like before now, but it's all fine and good, man, because he's in there now, and I think Penny's got the right ingredients.
Well, Penny told us, not that it really matters, but Penny told us after the Rice game that he felt that PJ Carter wasn't taking himself as seriously as he would have liked to see PJ Carter take himself early in the year. They had a conversation. I think it was either late November, early December.
Yep.
And PJ changed his entire approach, according to Penny Hardaway. And now here we are, right?
Well,
where he's a factor.
Yeah, I mean, how about that? You got two legitimate PJ, one a little more legitimate than the other, but both giving you career best stuff.
No doubt. And the other PJ Haggerty, the one that you kind of alluded to, is up for the Jerry West Award, which is annually given to the best shooting guard in college basketball.
Yep.
There's 10 guys on that list, and I heard you talking about it on your radio show earlier, that you felt that PJ Haggerty was the favorite, despite there being guys like Chaz Lanier and others on teams who are legitimate Elite Eight, Final Four contenders. Why do you feel like PJ Haggerty should be the odds-on favorite?
Because I'm from Memphis and I went to Memphis.
Fair enough.
No, I'm kidding, man. Because his numbers are stand above the rest. I mean, he's averaging 21.6 a game. I don't think anybody else is averaging in the 20s. Could be wrong, but I don't believe they are. His percentages are extremely high. He's playing efficient basketball.
He's so efficient, man.
I think the year-to-year improvement there, I think, is a big part of it. The fact that he's improved on basically all of those categories from a stellar freshman campaign a year ago to now. And Memphis is winning. Memphis is a projected 4 seed right now.
Right.
I think, Chaz Lanier would be the one if they go on this run here and he kind of regains his form a little bit that he had in the non-conference. He would have a strong case. But most of those guys are, in the 15s and 16s, like just not really quite as –
like Caleb Love is not winning that award. No offense to Caleb Love, former Tar Heel.
Again, unless they go on this Big 12 title run where he averages 25 a night or something like that. Which, it's Caleb Love. It could happen.
That's the Caleb Love experience,
I mean, I'm sure when you go to bed at night, you regret that. You regret running off Caleb Love because look at what happened to your program.
I wanted him to come here. Where there was speculation 2 off seasons ago about, he might.
No, he would have been a perfect Penny player.
That'd be fun.
But, so much fun. But yeah, I think PJ Haggerty's in the driver's seat. I think it's a credit to the development that Penny has shown he can kind of hand down over the years here. And, it's not just him. It's also Tyrese Hunter. I mean, Tyrese Hunter is enjoying a career year here as well.
In his 4th year.
In his 4th year, exactly.
And a large sample size with him. It's not like PJ Haggerty where you can bank on development of a young player. That's not a young player. That's a veteran player who's now all of a sudden putting up career numbers and scoring and shooting percentages and all across the board. Yeah,
those guys, they know where they need to be. They trust each other. And it's, it's why Memphis is 18-4 and in first place in the AAC and on the 4 seed line. So, the fact that that's what they are and that's what we're talking about in February is kind of crazy to me. I was just so down on this team to start the year before the season started, You were
crapping all over them.
Yeah, I was.
Back in October.
And I hold my hand up. I didn't think they could shoot. They're the freaking best shooting team in America, bro.
Nobody saw that coming. Nobody saw that coming.
But you know what? Things happen. And as Penny reminds you every single time after a win, God got us.
Hashtag God got us.
Isn't that the first thing he says? Isn't that the first thing he says after every win? He's like
some reference to God is made at the start of every presser. Yes.
So I think it's definitely been divine intervention. because I saw how this team shot against North Carolina in the exhibition. And
They shot 16.2% against North Carolina and Alabama.
I can't.
That's nuts.
I can't
They hit 6 threes combined.
explain it any other way.
What?
I can't explain it any other way, But look, all's well that ends well. And right now, Memphis is in a great spot. And again, the reason is mostly because of those two guards.
Do you know the last Memphis team that shot even in close to this neighborhood, percentage-wise from three, was that 2009-2010 team? That was Pastner's first year where they shot, I think, 38.8%.
It would have been Rob Sally, Donnell Mack.
It's been
Those two.
It's been 15 years
Elliot
since
Williams.
a team has shot.
Elliot Williams.
A Tigers team has shot the ball this well. That's
Yeah,
insane.
no,
That's absurd.
it is crazy. I don't think Josh had really many other good shooting teams.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
He had Chris Crawford for, his 4 years.
Clutch Crawford.
Joe had some up and down years from three, but it was never high volume. It was never, anything like what PJ and I actually think PJ. I talked about this on the show. I think he could take more. If you're shooting 42% from three, you should probably be taking more than three.
That's more of a Kobe Rogers and Tyrese Hunter and PJ Carter. That takes away shots from those guys, right?
Well, if you're shooting 42%, he's the best shooter on the team. Per percentage?
He is per percentage, yes.
No,
it's Tyrese Hunter. Per percentage.
Was he higher?
Yeah.
Was he 44?
By point something.
Okay.
It's very
That's
slim
fine.
margin.
I
But
think
yes.
he can take more than three. That's all I'm saying. But look, you've got more than just though. You got to put PJ Carter in the mix now too, and that's why I think the move to Dane Danger is paying the dividends that it mostly has in these three games because, when Moose is out there, you don't have to worry about the interior at all. It's just he has one thing he can do.
Yeah.
And you can dedicate your entire attention to the perimeter and the three. Well, when you put Dane out there, who's got footwork, who can finish,
Agility a little bit, yeah.
Well, yeah, you might have to double that dude in the American, right? So you got to make a choice.
And they have doubled him.
Yeah,
The past 2-3 games.
Dane makes you make a choice, whereas Musa there was no choice to make.
100%.
And so I think that's why, it makes more sense to have him. And then you still get an energetic Moose off the bench, right? He can still come in if Dane gets in foul trouble.
Yeah,
and
he's not pouting about it.
He's been great.
Yeah.
And you can adjust as you need to adjust with him, and you can change your style if need be. But, I think it's been the right move for this team. And again, I think that's why you've kind of seen them. They overperformed against UAB. They overperformed against Tulane. They were overperforming against Rice before the last 3 minutes. And we'll see. It's going to be hard to overperform against Tulsa because I think they're 23, 24.
Tulsa's so bad. Tulsa's the worst team metrically in this league.
Yeah, 271.
In a pretty crap league, they're the worst. They're the bottom of the barrel, right?
So I expect Memphis to win by 4 and everybody to complain. But no, PJ should have 40, 50, something like that. So, I think that's why Memphis is definitely doing what they're doing because it's accentuating the shooters and the talent that they have.
Man, speaking of shooting while we're on the subject, I got to give this guy his flowers. It's actually PJ Carter who leads the team in three-point percentage at 42.9%. He only takes 2.9 per game, but he's shooting the highest
small
percentage.
Sample, so,
PJ Harry's only taking 3,
now,
right?
But I'm saying, how many shots has he actually put up?
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, he's a great shooter. That's why they brought him here. They brought him here because that's what he does.
Memphis has 4 guys now that are shooting higher than 38.5% from 3.
I'm a big believer in doing your job.
Nuts.
Right? Do your job. Do whatever it is. Whatever your job is, do it well. Do your one job. That way, I can't complain about you. That's what Joey Dorsey told me once upon a time when he was in the league. I actually interviewed him at his locker when the Raptors were here. And he said, listen, you can't be great at everything in the NBA. You have to pick that one skill. For him, it was rebounding. I'm going to be the best rebounder on this court, and I'm going to make sure that, I get that loose ball. That for today, it's probably shooting. Be the best shooter on the court. Be the best scorer on the court, whatever. But do it and do it well. You know what I mean? And do it better than anybody. And you're going to find playing time, and that's what's happening for PJ Carter.
No doubt. And we talk about kind of ending droughts, ending streaks, whatever you want to call it, with the shooting. You look at big picture, Josh Pastner never got a seed better than 6, right?
Now he should have, but he didn't.
He should have. There was that 1 year where he should have.
They're 31-5, tough one.
But this Memphis team, like we said, ESPN released its bracketology today. Joe Lenardi has them as a 4 seed. Mm-hmm. CBS Sports, Jerry Palm had the Tigers as a 4 seed yesterday.
Yep.
What is I guess a double question, right? But what is the ceiling seed wise? and what is the floor? Like, what's the absolute worst that Memphis can get if things don't go as planned?
I think ceiling is probably
A three is going to be tough, man.
Yeah,
you look at the teams that are on that
because
three line.
like they're gonna get jumped is the problem, right? Like all these teams, let's say Kentucky comes off that 3 line. All right,
Yep.
well, like somebody's gonna jump Memphis because
Probably an SEC team.
like Arizona is a 5 right now.
Yep.
If they keep winning, they're gonna jump Memphis because they're gonna have more quad 1 wins. They're gonna keep stacking those up. So I think 4 is probably the ceiling. I think they're at it now. You could improve it and be in a closer region.
Yeah, be at the best 4,
Yeah,
right?
And I think the floor is probably 8-9 again.
Which is crazy to think about, right? And it goes back to Memphis's problem with its schedule and its conference being so unique to any of these top 25 teams. Like, there are teams that are locks right now. Like,
Totally.
no matter what happens, locked.
I think Memphis is a lock.
Memphis is a near lock. I don't think
I think Memphis is. I mean, like we're talking about if
I'm
an
saying that.
asteroid hits the Lori Walton facility tomorrow, are they going to the tournament? No.
That's what I'm saying.
But like they're going
Like,
to the
if
tournament.
everybody gets injured and you're playing walk-ons and Memphis loses the next 9 games, it is not a lock.
But that's not
Obviously.
happening.
I know. What I'm saying is, like, there are teams that are, like, does that make sense? Like, fully locked in the field.
I mean, we're talking-
And Memphis will be too if you,
But you're talking about
the improv, like,
butterfly effect events, like
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
I mean, they're like Memphis is not losing 4 in a row. Memphis is like I only
that's
think,
not me discrediting Memphis. So to make that very clear. That's me
Yeah.
discrediting the conference.
Well, yeah, because you could. They're just,
the conference
they're
is
just
so-
landmines.
Ass.
They're just landmines. Wow. Now he's gonna have to. I don't approve that term on a public podcast. Okay,
I was trying to think of
Let's just have some class. But no, I mean,
the best word for the league.
That's right. They're just nothing but landmines that you have to dodge every single week. And that's why I hate it. That's why I loathe it, because like you don't even get a quad 1 opportunity in this league, bro. Like
You get a quad 2.
but
It's
like,
UAB.
that's insane.
That's the only one left. Everything else is
insane.
quad 3 and quad 4.
Like your season is basically a game of dodgeball starting after 12/31 after New Year's Eve. Like
Yep.
I don't know why I said 12/31, but I'm like Rain Man over here. But yeah, I mean, it just becomes a totally different sport to me after the new year, and I don't know anybody that could possibly enjoy it.
And I guess the talking about realistic possibilities and, not asteroids and not crazy illnesses or anything like that, but how many games can Memphis realistically lose and still hang on to a top 5 seed? Not just
one.
just one, right?
Yeah, one. They could lose
And even
that
one's
year.
going to be tough. If you lose the wrong one, if you mess around
Yeah,
and lose
but again, if you're only losing 1, but you're beating UAB at UAB, that's a quad 2 win. Like you can make up for that. They lose 2, they're going to be probably on that 6-7 line. They lose 3, they're
then you're
back
back
on
in
that
the 8-9, which
yeah.
is tough.
I don't
think they're going to lose.
I don't think they're. I think the only candidates realistically that they could lose
Is the UAB one at UAB. That's the only one I think.
And I'll say at Wichita scares me a little bit. It does.
Yeah.
It just gives me a little trepidation.
Because of the way Wichita plays, right?
Yeah, and like, look, it's possible
It's a
that
tough
by
place
the
to play.
time
That
you
place
get
gets
there,
loud.
it
Yeah.
does. And by the time you get there, you're just hoping that they're so far out of the race that
That they've checked out of their season.
exactly, which could be possible. That's still
Very much
2
possible.
weeks from now, basically. But I think 2 is the maximum. 2 is I think 25 and 6 is. I think you're most likely the likeliest record you have is 26 and 5. The second most likely, I would say, is 25 and 6.
I think they're going to win out. I think they're.
That's crazy. You think they're going to win out? Like
Look at the schedule. Look at.
9 games, bro. Like
I think they're going to win out.
9-game winning streaks are tough, bro.
I don't think it's going to be pretty. I think they're going to eke some of these out, and we're going to be complaining. People like me going to be complaining about the metrics.
I think they're going to lose 2 more.
2 more
I think they're going to lose 2 more. Yeah, I think they're
in the
lose,
regular season.
Yeah, I think they're going to lose at
To
UAB,
who?
but they're going to lose like one of like Wichita State, one of South Florida at South Florida. Like
I'd be shocked if Memphis loses 2 games. Shocked.
they'd still be 25 and 6.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad. I'm saying I'd be
Yeah.
shocked if Memphis loses 2 games.
Well, I would say you shouldn't be shocked.
Because if they lose 2 games, they're what? A 6 seed, 7 seed.
They're probably a 7, yeah. They're probably because you're not going to be able to help yourself in the tournament. They don't care. They don't care about the AAC tournament.
That'd be slightly disappointing to be a 7 after the work that this team did.
it would be for
from
sure.
November
but
through
it'd be
December.
one of those things where we would just blame the league. We wouldn't blame the team.
We wouldn't blame.
the
No,
league.
we wouldn't blame Penny Hardaway or the team. No.
But again, you reap what you sow. You make decisions every day. They made the decision to stay in this league.
They did.
So look,
Penny did not.
No, Penny,
per se,
but
they did.
Penny was cool with it, bro. Penny was not.
What was he supposed to say?
No, he could tell it. Let's not act like Penny hasn't been outspoken about stuff.
It's a different Penny, man.
I mean,
it's
it is. But if you wanted to get out of the league, you would have spoken up. You'd have said, "I don't listen. We want the best." You could say the truth, which is, I'm tired of having to put everything I have into November and December.
Into 2 months.
Yeah, and you know, so. But again,
2 months out of a 5 month season. That's tough.
I'm not rooting for Memphis to be in that situation, but I do think there would be some karmic justice if that happens.
That's crazy. I wonder if Ed Scott's listening.
I'm not holding it against him, but he made the decision. And look, I understand he's got a whole entire athletic department to cater to. You know, I get to sit here from my perch and I get to talk about basketball.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I care about.
Yep.
I don't care about travel.
The Olympic sports. No offense to them.
I mean, I don't.
No
I mean, it's not my business. Like, so I sympathize with him, you know, but like, got to get creative, bro. Could we have gone basketball and football only?
And maybe they explored those options. We don't know, right? We weren't in those meetings. We don't know.
We don't know.
And we may never know.
We probably won't.
But on that note, that's all the time we have today. Thanks for joining us, John. Thanks, y'all, for listening. You can read all my stories and all of John's columns here at dailymemphian.com. And we will catch you guys soon.